Welcome back to Future Vehicles, where we bring legendary rides back into the spotlight and explore the cutting-edge details of iconic machines. Today we're diving into an American muscle legend that still turns heads over 50 years after its debut, the 1970 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. A beast born during the golden era of muscle cars, this vehicle wasn't just about aesthetics. It was about pushing the limits of street-legal performance. The 1970 Camaro ZL1 was a direct evolution of Chevrolet's desire to dominate both the streets and the track. While many know the ZL1 name for its rarity and performance in the first-gen 1969 Camaro, the 1970 model took that legacy forward in a sleeker, more aggressive package. Right off the bat, the second-generation Camaro was longer, lower, and wider. The new body design had a more aerodynamic profile with a pronounced Coke bottle shape that was both stylish and functional. Looking at the exterior, the 1970 ZL1 Camaro is instantly recognizable thanks to its low-slung front end and wide, muscular stance. The front fascia is dominated by a pointed nose and a split bumper design that wraps around the grille, a polarizing but bold look that distinguished it from competitors. Flared fenders housed massive wheels, emphasizing the car's performance-oriented roots. The ZL1 wasn't just a trim, it represented the top-tier performance engineering Chevrolet had to offer. It wore its power proudly with subtle badging, aggressive hood scoops, and a wide rear that made a statement even when the car was at rest. The paint finishes on these cars were typically bold, rich reds, deep blues, and classic blacks, often accompanied by racing stripes that ran from the hood to the deck lid. These stripes weren't just for show. They symbolize speed and performance, reflecting the car's racing DNA. The body lines were clean but purposeful, giving the Camaro a stance that still looks modern even by today's standards. The ZL1 package, being rare and almost mythical, in its availability, didn't flaunt unnecessary flair. Every element had a function, whether for cooling, performance, or aerodynamics. Now let's talk performance, the real heart of the ZL1's legacy. Under the hood, the original 1970 Camaro ZL1 housed the monstrous 427 cubic inch V8 engine, an all-aluminum block designed for racing, borrowed from the Can-Am series. This engine was a marvel at the time, producing close to 500 horsepower, though Chevrolet conservatively rated it lower for insurance and regulatory reasons. This was a hand-assembled power plant, and only a handful of units ever made it into production cars, making it one of the rarest and most valuable muscle cars in history. Acceleration was ferocious. The ZL1 could rocket from 0 to 60 mph in under 5 seconds, which was mind-blowing in the early 1970s. Quarter-mile times dipped into the low 13-second range, all from a naturally aspirated engine with no modern electronics, traction control, or fancy launch modes. The rawness of the driving experience was part of the appeal. You could feel every gear change, every thump of the suspension, and every surge of torque as the engine screamed past 6,000 RPM. Handling, for a muscle car of that era, was surprisingly sharp. Thanks to a revised suspension geometry, wider tires, and an improved chassis, the 1970 ZL1 had better balance and cornering capabilities compared to its predecessors. Still, this was a straight-line dominator first and foremost. The brakes were beefed up, but compared to modern standards, they required a bit of faith, which only added to the thrill of driving one. Stepping inside the ZL1, you're greeted with a no-nonsense interior that's focused on the driver. This was before infotainment screens, digital dashboards, or climate-controlled seats. What you got instead was a cockpit built for speed. Deep, bolstered bucket seats held you in place, while a 3-spoke steering wheel gave you direct feedback. From the road, the gauges were analog and purposeful: tachometer, speedometer, oil pressure, and temperature, all clearly laid out. The shifter felt mechanical and connected, giving the driver full control over the beast lurking under the hood. Interior materials were modest: vinyl, chrome accents, and a basic layout. But that simplicity was its charm. It was a performance machine with nothing unnecessary. Every ounce saved was performance gained. There was a purity to the ZL1's cabin that reminded you this car had a job to do, and it wasn't to pamper. It was to thrill. So there you have it, the 1970 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, a rare gem of the muscle car era that combined stunning design, raw power, and pure driving excitement. If you ever get the chance to see one in person, or better yet, hear that 427 roar to life, you'll understand why the ZL1 name remains legendary. Thanks for watching Future Vehicles. Make sure to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we uncover more automotive icons.